I'm Roger Remington, and I'm the Vignelli Professor. I'm very pleased to see all you here today, especially with this wonderful spring weather we have. For our Design Conversations lecture series, which is sponsored by the Vignelli Center for Design Studies. The lecture series is also supported by a generous grant from the Bailey Design Group in Philadelphia. I'm going to, other than welcoming you, I just want to toss the ball here to my esteemed colleague, Josh Owen, who is going to present an award.
Thank you, Roger, and welcome everybody. It's a very exciting evening for us, mostly because we have Caroline Baumann here to give a wonderful Vignelli lecture. We're thrilled to have her with us today, and she's had a tour of campus and has seen a lot of what goes on. I also have the great pleasure to announce two things. One is that one of our alums, who's now a faculty member in the School of Design, has had a project that she evolved here while in school in the industrial design program, working under the project title Activating the Archives, the Vignelli Archives, with a sponsor called LOL Designs. And her project, which started in school, this is our biggest fan out there. Her project, which started in school, is now being mass-produced by LOL Designs. Very exciting for Bridget Sheehan. And I thought maybe she'd stand up and take a bow. So, if you have a chance after the lecture, the exhibit that decodes the process by which she evolved that project, learning from the Vignelli Archives, is over against the windows there. So I hope you'll have a look afterwards. The other wonderful moment that I have to share with you today is related to the Corning Museum of Glass. And I want to take a few minutes to talk about the Glass Lab Fellowship Award. Some years ago, when I moved up here to Rochester, I discovered this amazing asset down the street. And some of our friends from Corning are here today. I went down and had a chat with them and learned that they already had a wonderful relationship with some of our glass faculty here at RIT. And that relationship that began with the glass faculty here at RIT developed into a conversation around design and later led to a fellowship which we have now in place for one graduating RIT industrial design student to give them an opportunity to explore glass as a medium for rapid prototyping of ideas and to participate in a 2-day Glass Lab session at the museum at the end of May each year. The faculty of the Industrial Design Graduate Program select a student who has exceptional design skills, excellent communication skills across mediums, a high degree of maturity, and a strong track record of meaningful contributions to the Industrial Design Program at RIT. And we have been giving out this award for the last 4 years. It began with a project where the industrial design students and the glass students here collaborated. It was called Meta Project 02, and students developed projects based on Corning's capabilities and the medium of glass. And we exhibited the work in New York City. The Meta Project is an industrial design senior studio that connects students to the Vignelli Archives. Massimo Vignelli was very involved in the projects as they happened. As a result of the relationship that we started between design and glass, Glass Lab at Corning invited me to go down and do my own session there using glass as a medium for rapid prototyping. These are some of the projects that I developed. We thought it was such a great idea that, that Glass Lab was available to designers and architects to explore glass as a medium that we invited the Meta Project 2 winners, which were students from glass and industrial design, to go down and test their ideas at Corning in a 2-day session. And that led to this idea of a fellowship. So we tested out that fellowship idea with students of industrial design. And over the past 4 years, the fellowship has gone to David Strauss, who is a graduate of the Industrial Design Graduate Program, who had a wonderful and successful 2 days at Corning. Bridget Sheehan, who I just mentioned, who also happened to be a recipient of the Glass Lab Fellowship, and Tim Copeland from last year. So this year, the award goes to, and you know who you are. And if Marani could just come up for a moment, I'd like to shake her hand. So Marani will be going this May to spend 2 days in Corning to do a glass lab, and we're very excited for her about that. I want to especially thank our friends at Corning who are here for this wonderful opportunity. And now for the big stuff. Caroline Baumann became the director of Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum in 2013 after serving the museum in various leadership positions for 12 years. During her tenure, Baumann has significantly advanced Cooper Hewitt's mission to educate, inspire, and empower people through design. Baumann's major initiatives include the restoration, modernization, and expansion of the museum's home in the landmarked Carnegie Mansion, LEED Silver certification for the museum, a newly expanded and reimagined installation of Cooper Hewitt's permanent collection, the development and implementation of award-winning interactive museum technologies and exhibitions, the creation of design in the classroom, a free national design education program for students K through 12, the rapid digitization of the museum's permanent collection, and the opening of an 18,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility for the study, conservation, and safe storage of Cooper Hewitt's permanent collection. Baumann spearheaded the museum's most ambitious capital campaign to date, which raised nearly $91 million towards the transformation of the nation's design museum into a dynamic global resource for the public understanding of design. A tall order. Baumann is a member of the Royal College of Art, USA, an NYC Landmarks 50 Alliance member, a member of the Dwell on Design New York Advisory Board, and a member of the MAS Design First Advisory Committee. She earned a master's degree in medieval art from New York University's Institute of Fine Arts. She has also received a bachelor's degree in the history of art and French literature from Bates College in Lewiston, Maine, where she lamented that an exciting night out meant driving to LL Bean and buying yet another fisherman's sweater. I want to welcome Caroline Baumann.
Hello, everyone. It is such an honor to be invited as part of the Vignelli Legacy series of conversations. I actually have been wanting to come for many years. Josh kindly invited me year after year, but I either had a hard hat on or I was pregnant. So the little chirping, beautiful sound you hear is Hugo. So I apologize in advance for his exclamation. He's actually clapping. So I just would love to start with a show of hands of how many of you have been to Cooper Hewitt before the renovation? Okay. And after the renovation? Okay. So one of my aims is to get those numbers up, but it's great to know how many of you have visited. The other reason I'm thrilled to be here tonight is Massimo and Leila were great friends of Cooper Hewitt, and they won the Lifetime Achievement Award for the National Design Awards in 2003. A little bit later in my presentation, I'll be sharing with you the Vignelli pieces in our collection, but boy, oh boy, you know, after 24 hours in Rochester, first of all, everyone told me, you're going to Rochester, bring your sweaters, bring your down jackets, bring your hats, and I think it was 71 degrees today. So thank you for the gorgeous weather, and thank you also for the embrace, the welcome, and the inspiration. We started our visit with a dive into the Eastman collection last night, and then started our morning with a visit of Wendell Castle's studio, and then came to the RIT campus. And boy, oh boy, I want to rewind my life 20 years, no, maybe 25 years, and be a student. I'm sure you all know, students, how fortunate you are, but I just have to say, to have the Vignelli archives in total at your fingertips is a resource and a jewel like no other. So take advantage and dive in as often as you can. So on the screen are all of my handles, and for those of you that are into social media, we museum directors get a little bit competitive, and the Victoria and Albert is, of course, one of my major sources of inspiration. It was also a source of inspiration for the founders of the Cooper Hewitt collection. And as you can see, we are inching up there as far as our Instagram followers. So please do follow Cooper Hewitt. But don't quote me that I'm beginning this massive competition, but we do keep our eyes on things like this. So given that most of you haven't been at Cooper Hewitt, here we are. And the Carnegie Mansion, this was Andrew Carnegie's home. He built the house between 1899 and 1902, and it is the ultimate example of urban recycling. An old building totally repurposed for a dynamic new use to be America's Design Museum. And if you need any help finding us, I thought I would use Massimo's iconic 1974 New York City subway map, part of Cooper Hewitt's graphic design collection. And I recently saw an interview with Massimo where he admitted that he didn't keep original drawings for the map or any of the process materials. But thankfully, the Vignellis gave RIT the archival materials they did keep, which is an impressive 1,800 linear feet of drawings, papers, and prototypes. So who do we have here? This is Eleanor Hewitt and Sarah Hewitt, granddaughters of Peter Cooper, founder of the Cooper Union. Peter Cooper and Andrew Carnegie were not only contemporaries, but they were friends, and Peter Cooper sat on the board at Cooper Union. These are the sisters costumed for the Vanderbilt Ball held in March of 1883. They were incredible women. They were remarkable, independent young women that never married, but grew up to be important collectors of the decorative arts and design. They traveled frequently to Europe. Here they are in Venice, of course. They were inspired by the Victoria and Albert and by the Musée des Arts Décoratifs, and they came back to New York City and said, we want to open a teaching museum free to all to promote industrial design in the United States. So they donated this substantial collection that they had amassed over the years of design objects from all over the world to the museum, which opened in 1897 on the 4th floor of the Cooper Union. Eleanor called the museum an industrial art laboratory. It was free, it was open to the public, it was hands-on, it was experiential. These are many of the words that I've heard today at RIT. It's very interesting, and another reason why I'm so excited to be here. Objects were meant to be a source of inspiration for student designers, especially the women enrolled in Cooper Union's Women's Art School, which was on the same floor as the Cooper Hewitt collection. The collection provided public access to exceptional works of design that at that time were actually only available to the upper class. So here we are in the Carnegie Mansion with the man himself, Andrew Carnegie, in the Great Hall. And the construction of the building took from 1899 to 1902, so 4 years. He told his architect, I want a plain home, roomy and comfortable. and he ended up with 64 rooms and 25 servants. The interesting thing here is 91st and 5th Avenue back then was way, way north. No one was choosing to buy real estate there. So when Andrew Carnegie, once the richest man in America, bought this property, there was a buzz all around New York, and people called it Carnegie Hill, which they do today. And then many other wealthy people started buying up there as well. Why did he buy up there? Because we have a major, major expanse of green. He wanted his wife and daughter to have a garden, and there was a tennis court right across the street, which I wish still existed, but that unfortunately got turned into a church. So the Carnegie family first stepped through the doors December 12th, 1902. The family arrived from Scotland in a horse and carriage, and all of the servants were there lined up to welcome them. This is an entrance on 90th Street that we just opened last year, which allows us to open the garden free of charge. I like to think about Cooper Hewitt. We've been reopened now for 14 months. Everything has been an experiment. So, this too. We're opening the doors at 8 a.m., and I had several Upper East Side residents say to me, Caroline, there are vagrants. Vagrants will come into the garden. Of course, there have been no vagrants, and we would welcome them too. And what's great is it's becoming a destination for the community. So people are coming in and having their breakfast meetings at Cooper Hewitt, people dropping their kids off at school or coming into Cooper Hewitt. And why am I telling you this? Because it's all about accessibility, and that is really the new philosophy of Cooper Hewitt. So going back in time, on the left is Lisa Taylor, who was the first director of Cooper Hewitt from 1976 to 1987. On the right is Diane Pilgrim, Cooper Hewitt's second director, who served from 1988 to 2000. This is rare to have female directors of a New York City, or actually any American museum. I'm the third woman director out of 5 directors at Cooper Hewitt, and that's something I like to cheerlead for the other women in the room. So, I've been at Cooper Hewitt for 14 years, and when I first got there, we were witnessing this new buzz around design. There was a 32% increase in visitors just between 2006 and 2011. Long lines for exhibitions, for education programs, for classes. So that success really showed us we've got an opportunity here to really transform this location, this museum, into America's design museum like no other. So we decided to initiate a once-in-a-lifetime renovation, not only of the building, of the entire Cooper Hewitt campus and the entire experience. So in 2011, we closed our doors for a 3-year renovation and complete renewal. So yes, that hat I was literally wearing for 3 years. I'm very happy to have the hat off now and be able to talk about Cooper Hewitt and inspire people to come and learn about design. And the idea was really, let's break down the walls physically and figuratively. Let's establish Cooper Hewitt as the preeminent design hub in the nation, and really one of the world's foremost leaders in design thinking. We often say that design is the realization of a concept or an idea. And boy, this renovation was a design project like no other. But it really, really represents the transformative power of design thinking. So look at this. Keep in mind, the building had not really been touched for over a century. We had no freight elevator. We had no sprinklers in the ceiling. So all the beautiful coffered ceilings had to come down so we could insert sprinklers into the ceiling. So we're very proud that we not only upgraded and restored the mansion from top to bottom, but we also did achieve LEED Silver certification for our sustainable design achievements, which Josh mentioned. So, as I mentioned earlier, these are really the goals that we all had in mind as we were working on this major, major project. So reinventing the 21st century museum experience like no other. We recruited the best design firms, and yes, 13 design firms. So on a given day, I would talk to 6 or 7 or 8 different design firms at the same time, and actually encourage all of them to work together, which worked really well. And I'm also proud to say that 2/3 of these teams are National Design Award winners, which I'll also talk about in just a moment. So, excuse me. As I mentioned, we took the opportunity to look at every single part of the campus and the experience and say, how can we change this? From the ticket to the admissions desk to the typography. So you used to get things in the mail, and everything would look different if you got something from special events or membership, and it would just give me an ulcer. So we partnered with our friends at Pentagram and said we need a new lockup that's strong, bold, dynamic, and really sends home the message that Cooper Hewitt is America's design museum. So the new lockup is this dynamic interpretation of our brand, and it reiterates our relationship to the Smithsonian, the world's largest museum and research complex. So Pentagram recruited a firm called Village, and Pentagram, Village, and Cooper Hewitt worked together for 2 years to redesign the whole identity. It was specifically Eddie Opara, who is a partner at Pentagram, and Chester Jenkins, who worked with us on this custom typeface that we announced over a year ago at the National Design Awards. We were giving it away for free. So we're closing in on 30,000 downloads from our website. And we've had everybody from beer makers to app developers, even the city of Mobile, Alabama, using our font. So I am encouraging you all, designers, to use the Cooper Hewitt font and then email me what you're doing with it, and you will get on the Cooper Hewitt website. We're also very lucky to have the former CEO of 3D Systems on the Cooper Hewitt board, and I said to him, boy, wouldn't it be fantastic if we could scan the inside and the outside of the Cooper Hewitt mansion? And he said, Caroline, it's yours. So a team of about 12 people were on the roofs and in the basement, and now you too can have your very own Carnegie Mansion if you have a 3D printer, which I know you have many on the RIT campus. So next time I come, maybe you can do Carnegie Mansions in all different sizes and colors. And we've had hundreds of downloads of the Carnegie Mansion, which is great. So 112 years to the day after Andrew Carnegie first crossed the threshold, we reopened the Cooper Hewitt in 2014, and we were using these 3D printed scissors to cut the ribbon, which was pretty exciting. And with me are former Smithsonian Secretary Wayne Clough, our board president Beth Comstock, vice chair of GE, and many New York City politicians. So we also transformed the garden. Walter Hood, National Design Award winner, worked with us on the transformation of the garden, and he really wanted to reinforce the fact that the footprint of the Cooper Hewitt Garden is adjacent to Central Park and embedded in New York City. Our #1 complaint in the past was, it's a beautiful garden, but there's nowhere to sit. So now there's seating and there's spinning, as you can see. That's Thomas Heatherwick's sponge chair, which is in the collection of Cooper Hewitt. And no one has been hurt yet, and it's great fun. So look forward to seeing you at Cooper Hewitt spinning away. So one of the major results of Cooper Hewitt was 60% more gallery space. Let me remind you, the building was built in 1899. We're America's Design Museum. That was sometimes tough, right? We were building walls left, right, and center to really present design in the way that we needed to. So one day, about 7 years ago, we had this aha moment. We were on the 3rd floor, which used to house the National Design Library, and I'll add, it had red shag rug and dust on the bookcases, and we said, let's make this into gallery space. Let's move the library to the townhouses that we own on 90th Street and make this uninterrupted gallery space, which it is now, and we are absolutely thrilled because it allows us to really present contemporary design like never before. This is the Thomas Heatherwick show that closed a couple of months ago. So there are 4 curatorial departments at Cooper Hewitt and over 210,000 objects in the collection. The whole collection used to be housed on 90th Street, and the first phase of the renovation was moving that out so that we could move the library into the townhouse. And what's exciting, and what will be exciting to all of you when you come, is the non-traditional presentation at Cooper Hewitt. So we have said farewell, for the moment, to chronological order. We really want to display the eccentricity and the breadth of the collection and really make people look. So rather than saying, okay, this happened in 1910, this happened in 1911, we want to blast that open and have you really enjoy line, form, and color. This is a shot on the 2nd floor where we celebrate our permanent collection, and we will differ the different colors. So here we're celebrating blue. When we opened the museum, we were celebrating red. But the whole philosophy is really to exploit the astonishing time range of our collection, which, believe it or not, spans 30 centuries. So here's an image of some visitors enjoying the second floor. And let me also add that Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro and Cooper Hewitt and Gopion, a case manufacturer in Milan, designed these cases. And the whole point is that they are, first of all, from baseboard to ceiling, we can showcase the collection, but they're also fairly easy to open and close. So we're changing out the collection. So every time you come, you're seeing something new. So I thought you'd enjoy a quick curated selection of some of my favorite design objects in the collection, starting with, of course, the Vignelli Knoll poster, which I saw on the staircase today as I was getting the tour. Massimo and Leila actually gifted 26 posters to the Cooper Hewitt, and this is, of course, the 1967 redesign of the graphic identity for Knoll. And what I love so much about this is that it's really just boiling down to the simplicity of the three colors used to create this rhapsody of color and the clearness of the brand identity. Here again, for Heller Designs in 1960, made of melamine, which was once a really cutting-edge material for household products. And Massimo once said, if you can design one thing, you can design everything. Well, this is a good example. Again, one of my choices is here today in your collection and on view currently, the Fungo table lamp from 1956, which is an early Vignelli design from when he was living in Italy and created for and manufactured by Vanini Glassworks. And the way the form eliminates the lampshade by merging the base and the top using Murano glass is quite extraordinary. So we are dotting the I's now on a major gift to Cooper Hewitt, to its collection from George Kravis II. George is one of the preeminent collectors of American industrial design, with a special interest in the design of the 1930s and the 1940s. So I just chose some of the things that particularly make my heart beat faster, basically everything in the collection, but I would have been here for quite some time. This is a clock and kitchen timer from 1956, molded and glazed earthenware, glass, chrome-plated metal, painted metal, and molded plastic made in Germany. And it's just so wonderful to have the clock and the timepiece on the same simple form. I can't think of something like that, and wouldn't we love this if it were on our microwaves, for example? Too bad that this has not been repeated. And this, of course, the Walter Gropius nickel-plated brass door handle, I could look at all day, from 1922, is now considered one of the most important designs to emerge from the Bauhaus school, marrying form with function through pure geometry and really exemplifies the new objectivity embraced by Gropius and the entire school. This sugar bowl from 1902, molded and glazed porcelain with silver overlay. So this, you'll get quite a kick. This is a Michelangelo that we didn't know we had in our collection. And about 10 years ago, we had a scholar from Scotland who rushed into our office and said, I think I found a Michelangelo. And we thought, unbelievable. So scholars came from all over the world to verify the hand, and in fact, it was a Michelangelo. So we had press like we had never had before. And that points to the size of the collection, and one of our major efforts right now is cataloging every single thing in the collection as we work and finish this digitization project. So we've just finished digitizing 165,000 objects, which is pretty remarkable in just over a year. We've got an entire collection of psychedelic posters from the 1960s, so I just picked one of my favorites, which is called Razzmatazz, designed by William Justima for Stanford Wallpaper Company. And Joris Larman is a young Dutch designer that I have my eye on. We will be featuring him in a major solo exhibition at Cooper Hewitt in a couple of years. This is a heat wave radiator made of molded polyconcrete and aluminum from 2007. And Joris likes to say this is ornate but necessary. And another treasure from our collection is Joris's 2014 prototype from his Maker Chair series. He's always exploring the relationship between digital design and craftsmanship and digital manufacturing. And you need to come and see this chair in person. It's quite extraordinary. So as I mentioned, we moved the collection out to a facility, an off-site facility with state-of-the-art conservation, as well as a photography studio. This is also a complete trip because having been at Cooper Hewitt for 14 years, I haven't seen the entire collection. So I try to get out here about once every week or so, and every time I go out, I see something that I haven't seen before and that reiterates the eccentricity of the collection thanks to the Hewitt sisters. And it's a fantastic place, especially because we had the photo studio set up there and just plowed through this project. So if you talk to other museum directors, they will do one part of the collection, and then maybe 5 years later, when they get the funding, they're able to do the next part of the collection. Thankfully, we had one donor say, "This is my dream, to allow you to digitize the entire collection." So we were able to do this in 1 year. And within 24 hours, the digitized image would go up on our website and onto the digital tables that are scattered throughout the museum. So really giving access right away to our visitors. So, speaking of our website, we were one of the first museums to give access to the world, just giving away our collection and make it super easy to use and pleasurable. So this is the page that opens our collections website. You can actually search, you can spend hours, so look out. You can search by color, you can search by Crayola color, you can search by country of origin. This is the Crayola page, and each click of the mouse takes you deeper into the collection and really invites wider inquiry. It is deeply rewarding, but I do say watch out because I spend hours sometimes just learning more about the collection. There are 118 different colors to search, and it's marvelous. It's also adding to the scholarship because as more people are getting to know the collection, there are certain things that were cataloged decades ago, and people are saying that's not such and such a material. So there's this wonderful design discourse that's happening. So I wanted to take a moment to make a shout out to a couple of members of my team. On the left is Micah Walter, who is class of 1998 from RIT, and he is today the Director of Digital and Emerging Media at Cooper Hewitt. He was actually just promoted. And on the right is Sam Brenner, class of 2009 at RIT, now Cooper Hewitt's interactive media developer. So go RIT. We could not be doing what we're doing at Cooper Hewitt without these two individuals. They are awesome. So we would welcome any visit from any RIT student, not at any time, but you know. So, you know, I've often been quoted as saying that we're giving away the collection, but I really mean it. This digital team is building this computing interface that makes all of our collection data available to developers, researchers, designers, artists, anyone who wants to create something using Cooper Hewitt collection objects. And we were the very first Smithsonian Museum to share our metadata in the public domain. So you can imagine, now everyone is buzzing around us and saying, oh, are people using this, this imagery in incorrect ways? And I always respond, no, this is what we want to do as America's Design Museum. We want to give all of you access to these gems. So this is a wonderful shot inside the museum, and you will see that people have something in their hands. And you may have read about this. This is the Cooper Hewitt pen. I brought one with me today so you can all see it. And as we were renovating the museum, which was a mammoth project, as I hope you can see from some of my slides today, we said, how can we change the experience to really make design resonate for everyone from the age of 2 to 102? So with Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro and local projects, we went back and forth and said, okay, we want to give our collection away. How should we do that? Should it be a ring? Should it be a necklace? Should it be a pencil? We did focus groups. We talked to all sorts of different communities, and we said, no, it should be a pen This was a year before the museum was to reopen. And then we mined the globe, only to find that there's one company in the world making the kind of pen that we were interested in. It's called Sistel. It's right outside of Barcelona. And they use the pen to inventory MRI machines. And you can see the pen right now on the ground floor of Cooper Hewitt. The minute I saw it, I thought, okay, the first thing I want to do is redesign it. I wonder how the leadership of the company will feel about that. So I talked to the CEO, and I said, you know, we want to work with you, but we're America's Design Museum. Can we redesign the pen? And he said, sure, absolutely. So I thought, okay, phew. And then I thought, well, I'm not an industrial designer, and I have no one on my team that's an industrial designer. Who can do this? So I then reached out to Beth Comstock, who is vice chair of General Electric and president of our board, and I said, I need industrial designers to help me with this pen. And she said, I'll give you 12 of them. And so they stayed in my house. No, I'm just kidding. So once a week, we prototyped and prototyped and prototyped, and I did get my Industrial Design 101 under my belt. But it was really a marvelous experience, and when you come to visit, you will see the original pen and then all the iterations and what we ended up with. So back to its use. What were we trying to do? We were trying to make design fun. So when visitors come into the museum, it's free for every member, every visitor. And this end of the pen allows you to collect. So whenever you see this icon, instead of taking a picture of a Bertoia chair that you love or a Vignelli poster, you just ever so slightly push this against the credit label, and all the information about that object is downloaded to your account. With the other end of the pen, you can play designer, because that's really what we're trying to do, is show people that design is fun, design is inspirational. I was worried that not everyone would take the pen. 94.5% of our visitors are using the pen, which is really, really fantastic. Oh, here, this shows you, it's a little tough to see, but way over on the left-hand side is the original Sistel pen, and then you can see the whole evolution to what the pen is today. The other thing I want to mention is we had to completely change the way Cooper Hewitt works. So we started this digital department at Cooper Hewitt. We didn't have one 5 years ago. We also broke down the walls within the museum so that the educators, the curators, the digital team, everybody was working together. And the fabricator was in Taiwan. It was a family business, and they said, oh, we can't possibly load all the batteries, they tell me. And I think, okay, well, there's 85 people at Cooper Hewitt. Guess what we're going to do? So I had a pen party, and that's what it is on the left-hand side, and the entire Cooper Hewitt staff basically loaded Duracell batteries for about 3 hours, and I had a lot of beer and pizza, and it ended up being fun. And the reason I tell you that is Cooper Hewitt is very much a family where everybody is involved, and everybody's excited to share the new experience. So on the right-hand side is the new admissions desk, where they're encouraging visitors to take the pen. Now I have a short video to share with you showing you different experiences within the gallery. Let's see if I can make this sing. Let's see. Josh, it worked in rehearsal. Let's see. Patience. Sorry, guys. Where's John?
Play button on there. Where's John?
I need my tech. Let's see. Go to slide now.
Might have to.
Okay, guys, technical difficulties. Okay, I'll show anyone that's interested after the talk. How about that? So my old office became the immersion room. You can pick any wallpaper from the collection, and you see the wallpaper from baseboard to ceiling. You can also create your own wallpaper. And this has been a success that we couldn't have imagined. People are customizing the experience and just going crazy on social media, which of course is fantastic. And visitors really like the pen because you all have had the audio tour experience or the app experience. What is it? It's a solo experience, right? Where you're looking at that app or you have the audio tour on your ears. What we're seeing is a whole new behavior with this technology. So we're seeing 6-year-olds help the 76-year-old with the pen or with different apps. And that is fantastic because it's encouraging this community experience as well as this deep dive into the collection and much more engagement with the collection. So it's not a gimmick, but it's a real learning experience. So you may say, okay, how does it work? You create an account on our website. There's a unique code on your ticket. So when you go back to your home or your dorm room, you sign up and you instantly become part of the Cooper Hewitt family of design enthusiasts. And everything you saved during your visit, even what you see online, becomes part of your personal experience, including the things that you've made. And these objects remain accessible to you forever. Now, at one point, a couple of weeks ago, I said to my team, you know, those architectural models have been up for quite some time. Maybe we should move them out. And Micah, our IT grad, said, let me just look at what are the most popular objects that are being downloaded right now. Well, look at that. 3 out of the 6 were architectural models. So we're really understanding what is the visitor being attracted to, what are they not looking at. So as leaders of the museum, it's really helping us to decide what should we put on view in the galleries. It gives us immediate feedback as well. We just opened the Design Triennial, which happens every 3 years and takes the pulse of what's going on in contemporary design. This is just from yesterday of what people are collecting, and the data is reflecting the number of objects collected right away, which is just invaluable to us. So according to the fashion blog Racked, we are one of the top 10 locations for Instagramming, and these are visitors having an immersive time at Cooper Hewitt. The awards are coming in weekly, which I'm, of course, very pleased about, but at the same time, like all of you, thinking about the future, what's next? So we're already setting up focus groups with our visitors so that we can say, what's next with the pen? Just some quotes that I wanted to share with you about how people are enjoying playing designer and drawing and designing and learning what it means to create and be inspired by our collection. This is my favorite from Yelp. Cooper Hewitt is pretty damn cool. We were just rated one of the top 10 museums in New York City, but I also learned today that Business Week named RIT one of the top design schools in the nation, so bravo to you for that as well. I'm not at all surprised, and I look forward to it being one of the top 5. So what do we do outside the walls of Cooper Hewitt? Quite a bit. One of the things we do is a teen design fair. And I wish I had had this when I was 12 years old because I would be probably a typographer today rather than a museum director. So there's about 400 teens between grades 9 and grades 12. And it's like speed dating. So they sit down with a fashion designer, an industrial designer, a landscape designer, and they can ask any question. So last year, I'm listening in and walking around, and one kid says to Isaac Mizrahi, how much money do you make? And I'm thinking, oh no. And Isaac says, less than last year. And I thought, okay, good, that question can... So anyway, it's fantastic. And we are now focusing on design in the classroom going national. One of the ways that we are truly the National Design Museum is Mrs. Obama has been our vice chair of honorary patron, of the National Design Award since 2008. So we're lucky enough to be welcomed at the White House to celebrate the National Design Award winners. And she is not reading from a script when we go to visit. She really understands the power of design. And she wanted to mix up what had been done in the past, so she asked us to do a teen design fair in DC. So we now do the same thing in DC. She also said, I would like high school students at the lunch. So there are about a dozen high school students at this luncheon. We give them a few pointers before they go into the White House luncheon, but just think what a life-changing experience that is. It's quite fantastic. So design in the classroom is something we started during the renovation because I really wanted to keep the flag of Cooper Hewitt flying during those 3 years and keep our education programs going across all the boroughs. So we teach teachers to integrate design into their classrooms. Well, we've impacted 70,000 students to date in those 3 years. We have principals and teachers calling us all the time saying, please come to our school. So seeing that response, I decided that one of the initiatives going forward post-renovation would be to make it national. And we did a major fundraising push in the last year, and we are starting in LA this spring, and really figuring out how to make it national and how to make it national with real impact. So we were lucky enough to have Ellen DEGENERES embrace the program, and I really hope this video works. Same problem. Shoot. My apologies. Well, we can... Okay, good. Does a Mac Pro want to come up here and help me? Because I bet it's some easy thing. Any one of you? Come on. I'm sure so many of you are Mac experts. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Give it a shot.
Thank you.
There it is.
Is there sound?
Yeah, that's fine.
And I want to show you what I have here. This is a Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum Challenge Kit. As you may know, I love design, and I love both Cooper and Hewitt. And I'm always looking for a challenge, so let me see what's in here. This is, all right, so, okay. I can do a lot of stuff with that. That's great. I really believe that design has the power to change the world, and design education has the power to teach children to become critical thinkers, designers, engineers, artists, leaders, talk show hosts, anything they want to be. The Cooper Hewitt team has created this toolkit to teach kids how to solve real problems and think like designers. They've already reached over 80,000 kids from New York to New Orleans, but here's the problem. This takes money. Dollar bills, y'all. And we need your support because we want to get design in the classroom to every kid in America. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to match up to $100,000 that you donate. That's right, $100,000. Cooper Hewitt and I thank you for giving, and may you be inspired by what I made. Thank you.
So this is not a fundraising plea, I promise you. I just wanted to show you celebrity support definitely helps. And Tim Gunn is also a great friend of the museum. And Ellen is working with us in LA to spread the word about design in the classroom and really electrify the students that are involved, which is fantastic. This gives you an idea of what we're thinking about as far as the cities we're going to, and we're trying to plan Cooper Hewitt exhibitions in the cities where we're going as well, so there's the content that we can draw from for the design exercises. So our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower people through design. This is another image of students basically on top of the digital tables. Right now, we have the Triennial on view, as well as the Tom Brown exhibition, which just opened. We always invite a designer or thinker or writer to mine the collection and come up with whatever theme they want. Tom Brown came back to us and said, you have an incredible mirror collection. I want to focus on reflection. So we have reflective wallpaper on the walls and the floor, and then the Cooper Hewitt mirrors lining the room. It just opened. It is quite fantastic, as well as the Pixar show in the Design Process Lab. Upcoming 2016 exhibitions include By the People, Designing a Better America, and Fragile Beasts. And so there's all sorts of jewels that you must see. The Atlantic magazine just called us the Museum of the Future. And Saturday night I got a call saying, Beyonce is coming to Cooper Hewitt, Caroline, can you be here in 20 minutes? And I said, you know what, someone else needs to welcome her. I just couldn't make it. But she had a fantastic time. So there she is with Jay-Z and the Haas brothers, which is the entrance to the Design Triennial exhibition. Social media, of course, went wild. I can't promise that she'll be there when you visit. but it was pretty fantastic. So do come visit, and I look forward to meeting many of you and welcoming you very soon. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Caroline has said she'd be willing to take a few questions, so we have a few minutes. If there are any questions from the audience. Roger.
In your color palette that you mentioned, do you have the yellow red?
You know what? I need to get back to you. I'm not sure because I don't know all 114 colors, so I will get back to you. Good question. Yes, way back.
So, yeah, with the whole Vignelli archive at our fingertips, what sorts of questions do you recommend that we as students, who are often just so much looking forward, ask the collection and the designs that come before us?
What kinds of questions should you ask as you're going through the archive?
Yeah, how do you, in the same way that you teach through the museum, how do we ask the right questions of this resource that we have available?
As you're learning about line, form, and structure, there is no one better than the Vignelli's work to look at. I mean, it's an incredible resource to go through how he thought about design, how he thought about solving a problem. And you've got all of that in the resource, in the archive. So it's really when you're given an exercise, a design exercise, I would dive right into the archive and say, how did Massimo deal with a similar challenge? Come on, there has to be more questions. Yes.
So Josh is saying you had a degree in medieval art. How did you go from medieval art to working at American Design?
That's a really good question. I worked at MoMA. Well, I should say first, I was hired by George Braziller, who is a 90-year-old now publisher of art books, because I'm bilingual in French, and he wanted me to do the French business for the art books, and he wanted me to handle the reproduction of the medieval manuscripts that he was doing. So I had an incredible time there as the art book editor, and then I worked at MoMA for 8 years. So medieval and modern contemporary have so many parallels. While I was at MoMA, I found myself gravitating to the architecture and design thinkers and curators and spending a lot of time with them. Also, when I was in graduate school, which is on 78th and 5th Avenue, I used to walk up to Cooper Hewitt and find peace there, and that's where I would do a lot of my thinking for papers and presentations. So it all just sort of worked out in a really interesting way after, most of my museum training at MoMA, and then getting a call from Cooper Hewitt to be deputy director at that point was just life-changing. And also to go from, a big institution like MoMA to a medium-sized one like Cooper Hewitt was also really intriguing. So the medieval love, remains very, very strong in my veins.
So you mentioned the effort to make everything in the museum accessible, and when you say digitizing, I'm assuming you mean photography. Is there any plans on digitizing the 3D data and making that?
Photographing the what? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Well, your collection, you said you're making the collection, and you had this huge digitization.
Right.
Which I'm assuming means photographs. But do you have any plans of taking 3D scans of that?
Absolutely. Really good question. I wanted to do it with this project, but this was the rapid capture part of the process. So step 2 is 3D photography, which we must do because one of the major departments is product design at Cooper Hewitt. So absolutely.
And that data will be available?
All the metadata is available now. Again, a very unique thing for museums. Most museums are very worried to do that kind of thing. They helped with everything. Not only the digital projects. I mean, Micah is part of my senior management team, so he's involved with everything. And Sam, too, is just solving so many problems. For example, when you click on any collection object, there are also tags that are related to those objects. And Sam set that all up. All of the back-of-house stuff digitally was his brainchild. Also, the curators come up with related objects. So if you're interested in that Bertoia chair and you want to see 6 other things that are related in the collection, so he made that happen. When I said they were invaluable, I mean it. I mean, they were really quite something. So they were both very excited that I'm here today. Yeah? You mean people that are alive? Oh, absolutely, yes. No, it's not only historic. Not at all. Lots of people, living and kicking designers in the collection, yes. Hi.
Yeah, following up on that question, I was wondering about if someone is a designer, how do they approach the museum with their information about their work? Or is it only up to the museum to find a designer? What makes the connection?
Really good question. My curatorial team and I have lots of relationships with the design community, so in many cases it's who we know. We also travel globally looking for acquisitions for the collection. And then designers often write to us directly, either to me or to one of the curators, and then we review that designer's work. We always get back to them, yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of Cooper Hewitt's size, right? The larger museums can't get back to every artist that writes. We really strive to be good communicators. So. Hi.
Hi, you talked about having like 165,000, a huge collection of things, so obviously all of that is not on display at all times. And when you showed examples of the display, you have beautiful sort of open cases so that you can see through all the way around. Years ago, I had gone to a show at the Cooper Hewitt that was called Now I Lay Me Down to Eat, and it was a comparative study of Eastern and Western habits concerning eating, sleeping, and all of those things. You still do, so we're talking about changing the whole approach to the design of the museum. And you have guest designers come in and thematically pull things, but are you
Right.
doing these kind of larger themed, exhibitions?
Right. Well, the really neat thing is, today at Cooper Hewitt, I think there are 585 physical design objects on view. But the digital tables allow you to mine the permanent collection. So there's what we call the permanent collection river going down the middle of the table. And if something catches your eye with the pen, you just pull it, and then you can save it. So, well over 3 million objects have been downloaded, even though there's that number of physical objects within the museum. And why is that? Because digitally, we're giving those objects to you as the visitor. So that's our answer to making the 210,000 objects more accessible. And then with the website as well, allowing people to download and see the full collection there. Not everything is photographed, but we're getting there.
There was a question in front.
Hi. Oh my gosh. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. We get comments on a daily basis that they discovered the collection, they discovered Cooper Hewitt through the website, and then they had to come. People that had never been to Cooper Hewitt before, yes. Resounding yes. So they're not staying at home enjoying the collection. Right, right. Fantastic question. So my dream is that eventually the Cooper Hewitt website will be the design encyclopedia. So if you want to see Wendell Castle across the globe, you can see all of that on the Cooper Hewitt website. And then to answer your question in a slightly different way, the Somerset House in London is working on its first design biennale. And they invited Cooper Hewitt to represent America. So we're taking the immersion room that you saw and bringing it to London. And then we're going to give all those visitors in London the pen so that they can collect everything in the Biennale, not only the Cooper Hewitt design objects. So it's getting to your very question of the collectability and how you can really expand the horizons of the pen. I'm also obviously talking to my Smithsonian colleagues about having the pen be the tool for the entire Smithsonian. There's also several museums that have come to see us and used the pen, so we're in discussions with them as well about really having this be a more recognizable tool that people say, oh, there's the Cooper Hewitt pen, provided they say the Cooper Hewitt. Yeah.
Have you gotten any resistance from other museums that don't want to share all of their information and metadata online?
Yes. I won't tell you who they are, but yes. There's been a lot of articles about this and about the fact that Cooper Hewitt shows more liberty as far as the collection goes, and there's a lot of museums that do not give this kind of accessibility. It's a definite philosophy. You go one way or the other. The design museums are a little bit more open-minded, though. Roger.
One of the things I've enjoyed over the years at Cooper Hewitt is the gift shop in terms of books and facsimile artifacts of design. I've been to the museum, but I didn't get to the bookstore, and I'm just wondering if it's been expanded or what state it's in now.
Well, interestingly, the Cooper Hewitt shop used to be in Carnegie's library on the right-hand side of the building when you entered, but I had one too many visitors asking me where the shop was. So we decided to move it to one of the galleries, like every other museum you visit, so that the retail experience is a necessity. There's no way to avoid it. Well, that's how it is now at Cooper Hewitt. And one of the major aims of the retail effort is to work with contemporary designers on unique pieces that are available first at Cooper Hewitt or only at Cooper Hewitt. Hi. I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
How do visitors utilize the garden space outside?
Well, that was the last part of the renovation, so we just reopened in December. It's not as cold in New York City as it is here, so people are sitting outside on our Herman Miller donated furniture. I also am an avid ping pong player, so there's a ping pong table out there. And I'm hoping to have ping pong competitions between the different museums and things like that. There was a pretty infamous tournament between me and the then MAD director, Glenn Adamson, which was quite fun a couple of months ago down at Spin, which is a ping pong club downtown. We have exhibition content also in the garden, not right now, but we will. We have special events out there. We do cocktails at Cooper Hewitt every Thursday night, so if you're planning a visit this summer, come so that you hit cocktails at Cooper Hewitt. We're introducing performance this year, so it's not only cocktails, but we'll have modern dance or Juilliard performers, really showing people that everything is design. Hi.
How do you determine which city or schools to support design?
Good question. No, we're starting in LA, and we're in discussions now about where our exhibitions will travel. And once we identify those cities, we'll then introduce the education programs in those cities as well. Well, Design in the Classroom is actually going mainly to Title I schools. We work a little bit with the private school sector, but not much. And that's constantly on our minds. We give away free admission tickets to many different communities. So whenever we can, we try to open those doors. Good question. Right. Yes, there's one more with the...
It's very difficult with older products like that in the archive, but more of the newer designs. Do you foresee people to actually be able to interact with the product?
Good question. We do when we can. So oftentimes we'll ask for 2 pieces, and one is for the visitor to sit down or feel a textile. It just depends. We also have a teaching collection in conjunction with our master's program in the decorative arts. And there people can touch everything, because we really do want to honor the Hewitt sisters' original idea of having that kind of experience with the design objects. It's critical.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline, for that inspired talk. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we hope you'll stay for a few minutes to enjoy Bridget's work and to celebrate with us. Thank you.